Alright, YouTube, I am aware that Julian Assange has had his internet cut off. Some people were prompting me for a video on the subject. When you get into the point where you're making 4 or 5 videos a day, space them out a little, number one. And number two, I wish I didn't have to make quite so many because I feel like it's going to flood people's inboxes, their feeds rather. I feel like some people don't want to see quite that many videos. They're like, okay, tone it down a little bit. I would like to. It's just that there are so many major stories that have to be covered at this point. In addition to all of my literature, the occult material, things that have nothing to do with politics, I can't avoid it. Until November, it's unavoidable, and even for probably several weeks after the election. I am aware that Assange has had his internet cut off, but I don't think that this will have the intended effect. The actor involved with getting the Ecuadorians to do this probably wasn't Ecuador itself. I can't imagine the Ecuadorian government really cares. They've obviously been sheltering him in the embassy despite pressure for years now. They didn't exert the pressure to cut off internet to the embassy. What appears to have probably been the case is that Obama or Hillary Clinton or somebody like that bribed them or pressured them into doing so just to inconvenience Julian Assange a little bit. Now, will it stop him from speaking out? No, because there's probably a public Wi-Fi connection within range that he can connect to. He can get a satellite card. It's not necessarily a permanent move anyway. It's not like the other people at the embassy won't supply him with some sort of hookup if they're kindly to his cause. So it's not going to stop him. I think the ultimate result will be probably the opposite of what they hope. They probably hope to shut him up for the rest of the election. Instead, what it's doing, it appears, is that it's causing more people who before didn't care about the issue so much to get aboard the, well, if the government is trying to silence him, he's obviously got something good to say, sort of boat. And what's going to happen is that more people will become aware of the leaks than they were before. And it's not going to stop the leaks anyway. You think Assange is the only one with this info? No. All the other people at WikiLeaks, the hires up, that do manage the Twitter, that manage the website, it's not all Assange himself, he has staff, they're all going to be involved with disseminating the same information regardless. They've dropped several of what people originally thought were dead man switches, which, quite frankly, was never possible. The idea that they would kill Assange at this point with the leaks forthcoming, that would cause such massive public outrage that it would sink the Clinton campaign, so I don't think that that would actually happen. Rather, they're simply trying to quiet him down, and it's, I don't think, going to ultimately work. I think it'll have the opposite effect. These files on Kerry and so forth appear to be nothing more than insurance files just in case something else unscrupulous happens. Said, oh, we've launched a contingency plan. Well, that's just essentially, well, if they keep perturbing us, we might dump these documents that might be rather nasty to some of these actors that might be involved in trying to silence us. Even Jill Stein is weighing in. Now, Jill Stein is fast endearing herself to those of us who stand against censorship. First, she pointed out correctly that it's Clinton that's the war candidate, not Trump, and that his foreign policy is actually a lot less hawkish than Clinton's. Number one. That was number one. Number two is, and I'll read the quote here from her Twitter, "Where is the defense of WikiLeaks from all the pundits who've speculated that Trump would try to silence critical journalism?" A good point. Are these people who spent weeks ranting about how Trump would attack the media, Trump would silence the media, he wouldn't be transparent enough, are they going to talk about this? Are they going to condemn this move, which almost certainly originated in the US government, which means Obama, or maybe not by Obama himself, but was ordered up by the DNC, Hillary Clinton, Donna Brazile, whoever happens to have said that this was a good idea? Are they going to condemn this as a cowardly move to try to stamp out investigative journalism? Or are they going to continue with the shoot the messenger line of these people are Russian espionage agents, or at least linked to them, and therefore they should be silenced? I would point out, including to people on the left, including Hillary Clinton fans, you ever heard that old poem about first they came for the trade unionists and I didn't speak out because I wasn't a trade unionist, then they came for the communists, I didn't speak out because I was a communist, and they came for the Jews, and I didn't speak out because I was a Jew, and then they came for me and there was no one left to speak for me, or something along those lines. You might want to take that to heart. And I can remember people posting that back during the W administration when he tried to go after people's public library records. of their internet use and the books they were checking out and so forth. Because at the time, many partisan Democrats, including the actual left, which was larger and more vocal back then, they stood against censorship. They stood for investigative journalism and press freedom. And these same people applauded WikiLeaks towards the end of W's second term, in the latter half of his second term, when WikiLeaks became active in leaking Bush-era documents. They applauded them. They said that they're doing a good service, it's patriotic, it's our duty to report on this, it's our duty to investigate the administration, to hold them accountable for what's going on. And this came from the mainstream media too. It even came from segments of the right-wing media that realized that something fuzzy was going on. Now, they've all jumped aboard the It's a Russian Conspiracy tour bus, and they refuse to even speak about WikiLeaks, anything that they release. And it's monstrous. It's totally dishonest, number one. Number two, it sets about the most dangerous precedent you possibly could. Because what you're doing is you're getting used to a society of silence, so to speak, where certain things are not, they don't bother to investigate them because they might go against a party line, or because they consider think about it this way. They're so scared of Trump because he might go after journalistic integrity or something. And yet what's apparently the reigning Democratic administration doing? Dicking around trying to pressure the Ecuadorian government into shutting off Julian Assange's internet access, which is what happened. The Ecuadorians didn't just get it in their head one day, I think we'll shut off his internet access. After we've spent years and years sheltering him here in direct defiance of the UK that wants him put out on the street, and Sweden and the United States, all of which want to charge him with various crimes, you think that they themselves dreamed it up? If that was the case, if they had gotten tired of Assange, if it was the idea of the government of Ecuador, they just would have had a guard take him by the arm, put him out on the sidewalk, and let the gendarme come and get him. But they didn't do that. They just shut off his internet access. Which means either they're terrified of what's in those insurance files and they don't dare to lead him out because they know that the hellish leak of all leaks is coming, or because it wasn't them that thought the idea up, they've been pressured to take some sort of step to try to quiet him down just a little bit. They've confirmed it was the Ecuadorians that did it, but do you think it originated with Ecuador? This little Latin American state that's not, that friendly with the United States. Trade partner, yeah. If Ecuador was invaded, we'd probably try to help them out. I don't know if that would go both ways. Now, but let's face it, a rudimentary socialist government that leans a little bit maybe more towards Eastern philosophy on economics at least. Not necessarily the kind of small government that, unless it was under duress, would take such an action. I don't see why they would. I think that Obama or Clinton or Don of Brazil or somebody like that put pressure on them. I think they cracked under that pressure. Hopefully they're not willing to go further, for the sake, by the way, of the establishment too. If they don't want to get ripped apart by having every little dirty deed that they've ever done dumped in one God Almighty dump, so that the entire world can see the corruption of multiple governments at the same time, so much that it can barely digest it all, if they don't want that to happen, it would behoove them to leave him alone. This is investigative journalism. Our legacy media is no longer doing that. It's no longer conducting journalism. It's not reporting fairly in any sense of the word. It's not even hiding its bias anymore. It's just a corporate so-called media apparatus. It's business. That's all they are. Selling the fear, and the sensationalism stopped working. So now they have to suck the teat of the Clinton campaign for some millions of dollars in order to get by, I guess, because they're dying off. The legacy media is no longer particularly relevant. They're shrinking in size. They're shrinking in their ability to use propaganda to manipulate people. It's only a matter of time before they go out of business entirely, unless they move to a web-only model. And it's not clear they can make that transition successfully. They've had limited success. You look at Fox News' YouTube channel as opposed to the number of people that watch it on TV. It's a far smaller number. Plenty of individual YouTubers are much more popular. All they have to do is play the nose horn for a couple hours each week, and they can have more subscribers than all of Fox News has on YouTube or on Facebook or Twitter or something. Plenty of individuals and other groups that make far less money and are far more efficient have completely outflanked them. So I don't think this originated with the Ecuadorian government. They may have been the ones specifically giving the order, yeah, pull the plug on his internet connection. Do you think they're the ones that really care? Or do you think it's probably something to do with the Democratic Party right here in the United States? I'm going to take the latter for 5,000, Alec. It's kind of obvious what's going on. Thankfully, though, it just means that there'll be more public discourse about Julian Assange. Because now even the legacy media has to report on it. Because this is far more suspect than some of the leaks themselves. So, good job, Obama administration or Clinton or whoever gave this order. You've just shot yourself in the foot. I don't know what advisor dreamed up this scheme, as though it was ever a good idea. Any random mentally disabled individual would have known that it's probably not, but apparently those are the kinds of people that Clinton surrounds herself with. Then again, you look at what Podesta says in private. Yeah, she does surround herself with people who aren't exactly the brightest bulbs. They're about as sharp as marbles, in other words. That's about all. Peace out.